Welcome to our space where talking about the inspiring things with inspiring people is what inspires us. Waiting for you here are the infinite possibilities that creation, collaboration, and connection have to offer. A universe where we see everything through rose-tinted spectacles that help us to keep our faith in the power of imagination alive and well. And now, let's talk. Hello everyone, we want to welcome today to this episode of Metralla Rosa a talented duo of queerky and queer performers. They bring a very sensual narrative and very revolutionary as well about love, about sex, about intimacy every time they make an appearance. Also, they are absolutely representative of the multicultural, super international, and radically avant-garde art scene of London. Riccardo T is Italian, Antonio B or Branco is Portuguese, and they together are simply fabulous. A fabulous queer performance art duo. Thank you so much
for
joining us today. I want, of course, to know where did you meet, when, how was that, and if you are actually working together since then.
No. So
I love it.
we met
in 2011.
So 9 years ago, going into our 10th year, I guess.
Studying here in London.
Yes, so we met at school in university, studying contemporary dance and choreography. And so it was a 3-year course, and only on the 3rd year of the course, we were very good friends, always kind of like best friends throughout the course.
But you met there, here in London.
Here in London, on the 1st year of the course at London Contemporary Dance School in King's Cross. And then on the 3rd year, we... Not quite sure what happened first. Me
neither.
We started working together and got together.
Yeah. Like the two things sort of like merged into one thing.
So I don't know if we got together and then started working together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Or if we started working together and then got together.
I think we got together and then worked together,
But that's your
that's my
version.
version.
That's your version. And you look like the more romantic one.
If you say so. But we just started making.
I said he looks.
Yeah. He's Gemini, so.
Good.
We started making a work together at school. Very safe, it's school, it doesn't matter. But it kind of worked, and it was quite successful, and then we started making a bit more, and another work, and we liked it, so we was like, let's keep doing it. Yeah. And then the relationship was going fine too. So we kept going with the relationship, so we kept going with the work. Yeah. And we've been working since then, since 2013.
And been together also since then.
Okay. I assume that you met in Italy maybe because you speak Italian and you were recently doing something in Italy together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just assumed that. But then the story started in
London.
Yeah.
Because I came from Portugal then, directly from my little Azorian island, and he came from Milan. But I speak Italian because, being together with him, I started going to Italy a lot.
Okay. Why not to Portugal?
We go to
Portuguese?
No, because here's the thing. My family speaks English.
Okay.
But Rick's family, like most Italians, they don't speak any English. So I had to learn Italian.
If you go to Rome, you do like Romans.
Yeah, exactly. I had to do it by force. I had no other option but to do that. It's either learn and speak with them in Italian,
or not communicate at all,
or just be awkward. Like this on the table, So I learned.
Yeah. And your respective backgrounds, not only as individually, I would like to know how do you describe from where you come from, not only the country, but a little bit of a sensation of what kind of family you come from. Okay. Or what did you study also, and you before coming to London?
Well, before coming to London, I studied dance. And so I studied ballet
Where?
first. I started in my city in Verona, and then I moved to Milan, so I studied in La Scala. And then I worked a bit in...
Wow, that sounds amazing.
And then I worked a little bit like in ballet
Ballet.
for like 1 year, and then I decided to actually come to London and study contemporary dance, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do dance or architecture, so I also went for the architecture part a little bit, but then I got into the school where we met, and I was like, you know what, no, I'm just gonna go there and study.
Okay.
So I moved here and did contemporary dance. Yeah. And my family, it's...
How would you describe your family, your environment when you were a kid?
quite
Or
open. Like, yeah, both my parents are quite open, very happy, like, to, like, with my queerness, and, like, we talk a lot about it, and, yeah, it was a very supporting
are they
family.
professionals as well?
No, they don't work in the arts. No. But, very supportive. Like, my mom, she's very into, like, art, architecture, like, so she taught me a lot of this stuff. Like, she's very culturally centered.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And in your case, how would you describe your family,
Well,
your background?
So I'm from Portugal, but I'm from the Azores, right? Which is tiny islands.
Oh, amazing.
In the middle of the Atlantic.
Don't you miss it?
Yeah, I do. I do miss it.
beautiful.
Like, it's beautiful, but it's very small and very
Claustrophobic.
as well. And there's like there's not much there's no stimulation there besides nature itself, which I love. But then, as an artist or as a as a young
Creator,
artist, I needed to come to London and study and see
Get
things.
corrupted.
Yeah. I
was my
needed
job.
to come, but now I want to go back, and just be myself with the farm. Anyway, but I was studying. What I was studying sciences and technologies, and I wanted to be a vet.
Wow. See, that's why I wanted to know these things, because sometimes it's quite surprising.
Yeah, I wanted to be a vet. But then while I was there, I went... So, my family is very open, considering where we live and everything. Well, half my family is from Lisbon anyway. And they're very accepting of everything, and my relationships and queerness and polyamory and all of that. But there's not much going on again in the island, so there was never a really big focus on culture or anything. My mom always showed me certain things, and I've been listening to Björk since I was 12, and I would listen to classical music, but I wouldn't really have much contact with other things. So when there would be something in a theater once every 4 months, we would go see it. So I went and saw a dance piece once when I was maybe like 15, and I really, really, really loved it. So I was like, maybe. So then I went to the local dance studio, and I started dancing there. And then as I started dancing more and more and more, and studying, biology and maths and whatever, I was kind of bored of that, and I was like, maybe I can be a dancer.
Yeah.
So that's how it happened. And then I just like auditioned for like 4 different schools across Europe, and then got in all of them. So I just had to choose 2 in London, 2 in Netherlands.
Wow.
And then I chose, okay, I'm going to go to London. And then I came to London when I was 18, straight from the islands to here.
Oh, that's very fortunate that you started. From the moment you started, you got a welcoming reception, let's say, because when you audition for something and you have a initial rejection, everything starts wrongly.
Yeah.
It makes you sometimes stronger.
It was
exactly.
no, but it was good for me, because the reason why I auditioned for 4 schools is because I didn't think I was good enough. So I had to do as many auditions as possible.
So
to
this
have
was the
as many
answer
options.
from the
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
You are good, my love. You are.
Keep dancing, and I stopped.
And then I stopped dancing. But yeah, did I answer?
Yes,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
And the moment you got together to start working, I can imagine that the concepts have grown and changed, and there's an evolution since the beginning to now. But if you need to see mainly how is that change visible, what would you say?
I think it changed, like at the beginning when we started making work together, they were quite dance centered, like dance theater. Imagine something like quite Pina Bausch maybe, because that's where the aesthetic that we were trying to achieve or trying to go for. And then when we presented the work, then it slightly changed and it became more performance art or like live art. So like we showed it in theatre, you know, and normally what we would get from like journalists was like, well, this is not dance. You know, and you're like, oh,
do you think the element of improvisation, being able to improvise, is what makes more obvious that difference from dance and performance?
No, not really. I think it's more...
I think so. I think, okay, between what was then and what is now, a big difference is that before we were trying to achieve things that we had seen and liked, so kind of aesthetics that we were like, okay, I want to make a work like this, and then slowly as we kept trying those things and discovering different processes, and we start understanding what we actually want to say and how we want to say it. And then the reason why it never became dance is I've always had very big trouble in creating movement. So I'm okay if you're the choreographer and you're making movement and I need to copy it and I'm going to do it. But if I have to create movement from scratch, I don't believe in it.
Okay.
I don't believe in it in a sense of, oh, you know, me moving this way is saying this political thing that I want to say, or this, you know, it's not. There's a mistranslation there from you. So
It's too abstract.
yeah, it's too abstract, and I don't think it's real. So then I never used.
It doesn't really tell what you need to say.
No. Yeah. So I never really used it as a tool on its own to create. So then our dance pieces end up. Yes, there was physicality. There was people rocking around and doing actions. But there was never like, you know, this dancing or choreography in that sense.
In itself.
Yeah,
so a lot of people were like...
Although there was, because, you know, like there was a sense of choreography and how you choreograph like, people on space and things like that. And that's what I found quite hard. It was like presenting work in theatres and, you know, having critics be like, oh, this is not dance. When you just were coming out from like a 3-year course where they were like, everything can be dance.
Exactly.
You know, and it's a bit like, what?
Why?
You're like, wait, did I just study 3 years for nothing? Like,
do you still work as a dancer, just as a dancer for other people, both of you? Do you do that as well?
Yeah.
I mean, although the people that I work for normally, again, their work itself would not be considered dance.
Yeah.
Would be considered performance. So, you know, the two big people that I've been working with in the last few years, it's just, you know, I'm just walking, I'm doing runway, I'm reading academic texts, or I'm just posing still for like 3 months. So it's like there's not really something to be like, oh, that's dance.
Yeah.
From a physical point of view, which one do you think is the nature of your movement or your expression? You know, as we see sometimes the work of painters and we can describe the line or the feeling behind what they create. It's hard to tell, but I guess you have the same with the kind of movement you go for. How would you describe your movements, Antonio?
That's a big problem. We actually had a meltdown in the studio once where I was
he had a meltdown.
Yeah,
I was asking him this question.
because
oh my God, sorry.
No, because for example, I've always observed many people and like Rick, and he has a very specific movement that is Rick, you know, that I could do for you.
You can
yeah, or like we had the other colleagues and
copy it.
And we had other colleagues that had very specific movements that were like to their bodies, and like, okay, that's, you know, that's Hannah's movement, that's Declan's movement, that's Olivia's movement, that's Riccardo's movement. But then, and I'm always been very good at like, this is what you want me to do, I'll do it. But then if you ask what my movement is specifically, again, I don't have one. And we were in the studio once and it's like, okay, let's find what your movement is. And he just stood and he's like, okay, start moving. And I was like, I can't. It's like, no, start moving. And I think we spent maybe like 45 minutes of him just asking me to move.
But do you think it's a you get too self-conscious?
Maybe, or yeah, and then we spent 45 minutes of him asking, and I never moved, and then we just cried.
Okay, but this is interesting because the one that always talk about submission is Riccardo.
Yes.
and you seem to be a little bit more bossy. But now you are saying that you actually love copying. Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
No, it's
So-
different when it comes to, but that's when it comes to movement, in terms of like, because I've always had that problem that I think it's because I don't believe in it. So because I don't believe in it and I never developed it within myself, I don't have,
One.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or something that you recognize yourself in.
Yeah.
Or because
It's not a practice that I recognize myself in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then if you, it's like, I don't know, yeah. It's like if you've never done anything in your life and I give you a piece of rock and a hammer and a pike and like, okay, start sculpting. And you're like, okay.
Wow.
I mean, maybe
Well,
I
you
would-
could
yeah, exactly.
discover that you actually have a passion for
Maybe.
it, or maybe,
Say,
say like what.
or like, oh no, but if I were
Yeah.
to say, okay, it's different because I done it 2 years.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's different.
I'm giving a story to someone who never did it. Like,
Yeah.
you studied dance for like half of your life.
Exactly.
fine.
And also it's not the
Like,
same.
So, no, fine, okay, bad analogy, but I don't know.
Yeah, but that's your feeling. That's how you feel regarding that. And how would you describe your movement? How do you like to move? How do you move when you have the freedom to do it?
How do I like a lot hands and arms movement. I'm quite limby. Like, I have like long arms and long legs.
you are long
Yeah.
in general.
Sorry.
I hate you.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed like this sort of like big, nice movement, and I find myself like working a lot with it if I need to improvise and do things like that. But then I have like little interests that like spark up. Like, I don't know, lately I was quite interested in like moving very slow or having like a very particular movement or just general sort of awareness of the body.
But is in general elegant? Is looking for some sort of conventional beautiness?
I think it was, coming from ballet, like you look at yourself a lot in the mirror and it's always about like lines and things and how to make it look aesthetically pleasing. But then since I moved to London, I think I don't really care much about that. Particularly, I took in my practice a lot about Buto, for example, which is like this Japanese postmodern dance. Exactly. So there's lots of like ugliness in it.
Yeah, but you don't do the face so much.
No, I don't
it's
do
more in
exactly.
kind of like the hands
Yeah.
and then kind of like going from the out into like the inside.
Inwards, yeah.
A lot of this. Yes.
Which
Yeah,
is
I love
amazing,
that.
but it's also culturally like getting into territories that are so distant for us.
Yes.
As culture, we try to see and understand, but we don't create it from inside.
Exactly.
And okay, so the first real performance you create together, and you were you already together, of course, but which one do you consider was the first one? If you have to do a chronology of things.
Probably would be like a piece we made on ourselves.
Is it a real?
That's the first we did.
Still at school, you mean? Okay.
Could you describe it?
It
Was it also very into sexuality?
No, not at all.
No.
No, it was about...
It was about our relationship that I just started.
Yes. It was
So in a
about
way it
more
makes
sense
sense.
of like care and funding ourselves. Then there was lots of imagery, that was just like, oh, this would be nice. I don't know. We were like a fight, and I would like grab his hand and like put it inside the soup.
Yeah, he was like drowning
Yeah.
in soup and
But it didn't have like, if I look back, it was just because.
yeah, it was
you know,
just beauty.
wasn't-
It was an expression of beauty in a way.
Yeah.
There was a
Were
lot of
you
different
trying
images.
to get into tell people about what quotidianity was for you?
I think we're not quite. I think we're just kind of exploring within those beautiful images what a relationship could be.
Yeah.
And there was a I guess there was some sort of narrative within this relationship because there was a sort of tenderness going to violence, ending up back into
Tenderness.
love. Yeah. So, I mean, it started literally with us just coming in mouth on mouth, and as we would separate, there was this big kind of like a magic trick when they pulled the scarves out.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of scarves inside our mouth that you couldn't see. And we were kissing, and as we'd separate, the scarf would continue coming out and out and out until we were across the stage, and the line was connected through our mouths.
Okay. So separated, but at the same time.
And then we were biting it, and we were trying to like lean back, like putting the weights away from us. And then there was like a fight, and he would be tied up, and then he would drown me, and then there was a bunch of flowers that I was like hitting him with, and there was petals everywhere, and then flipping tables and flipping chairs, and then just kind of hugging to the sound of
Edith Piaf. Something.
No, the one it's a very nice one. Whatever.
Wasn't it Edith Piaf?
Edith Piaf song. Yeah.
And in which moment things started getting a little bit more into looking at the fetishism, the political side of power and relationships, and game roles, and all those things that are now at the moment so present on your work?
It was, I believe. Do you know exactly when?
No.
Okay.
Years and a half ago.
I think it was more when, again, because it's very much about ourselves, very idiosyncratic in that sense, our work. It was very much when we were putting ourselves out there, going to a lot of events, a lot of parties, a lot of gallery openings, art events. And at some point there was a guy that approached us. And he was clearly interested in both of us.
Wow, I need to send him a message if that's the beginning of our art.
Not him. But what that did was we didn't go home with him. We went home alone. But we talked about it. And we're like, okay, what would it have meant if he came home? If we'd done something? What would it mean for a threesome for us? Who would be jealous? Would we not be jealous? How would we feel? Would we talk before? Would we talk after? Would we talk during? Blah, blah, blah.
We started to have lots of talks about the politics.
How do we feel if we
openness?
Yeah, if we become an open couple, if we don't become an open couple, should we do things together? Should we not do things together? And then we start talking. Nothing happened
for about a year. But
and
a year of talking.
But you started, talking and thinking.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then certain of these questions started coming more into the works, and then eventually we actually started practicing within our relationship. And then by practicing, more questions come, because we would go out, do something with someone, come back, talk about that. So that became also like an artistic practice in a way. Then we started with the casting of the penises. They came from a specific piece.
Started then.
It started because we had a project. We had a commission of making a performance, and the first time we did a performance, we had the idea of casting our penises. So we casted our penises into wax, and then we burned them during the performance.
Yeah, so we melt our own penises.
And I was like, this is nice.
That's
amazing. Sort of like destroy this patriarchal symbol and like the phallus and things related. And then we were chatting, and we were like, well, we could start also like cast other people and like see like all these differences. And that's how that came into thing. And then Burning Bricks has been a performance that we've been doing for the last 2 years and a half.
3 years, yeah. And we just...
And it has evolved, but it's still, that was the seminal moment.
Yeah.
And there is like things that stays the same, because like this performance, for example, like the ethos of it is that every time it's created as a different version. So, it's never the same. And in that way, we can just talk about what interests us at the moment.
If there's questions that we had done at the beginning that have kind of been solved, and now we have new questions, and we can put them in this. So it's the same work, but it's ever evolving and ever growing, with different questions and different senses. And
this idea of burning down patriarchy or the sense of power or control, or those structures that in these days are we can easily observe as very toxic and super masculine in that conventional sense. When you get involved into all those philosophical issues, do you get a lot of support from feminists, from women, from people of all orientations, or What's the response? Who responds better, and who has some more like, oh my god, I don't want to get there.
Well, the piece has quite a different things talking, so you could always choose to go with something and not the other things. In London, it's tricky because we preach a lot to the converted, right?
Yeah.
So we're queer artists programmed by queer venues with queer audiences.
Yeah.
So
it's difficult to talk to the others.
Yes,
exactly.
But for example, when we were just in Italy, in Sassari, in Sardinia, it's a very small town with a small queer community, and a lot of the audience were not queer people.
Yeah.
And there was, there was a lot of older people as well. There was like, an 80-year-old woman, some 70, 60 people.
Were you scared? No.
I was no. My mom was scared. She told
I
me.
was thinking like a mom, obviously.
No, because I think we create a good environment on our work
Yeah.
where we allow people to take control of their viewership, and they can decide how to watch it, when to watch it, and then in all of our pieces, you can actually go and see the sculpture and then come back to us. You can leave the space, come back, close your eyes. We a lot of the times we actually, as people are coming into the space, there are these instructions that are being said on repeat, which says, welcome to the space, you're about to see this, you're about to see that, you feel free to talk to the person next to you, feel free to do this, feel free to close your eyes, feel free to laugh, feel free to leave the space, come back, feel free, don't touch this, don't go over there. Anyway, but when you do that,
Quite bossy.
but when you do that, you are giving control to the audience. Rather than imposing these kind of issues and images on you, we're already preparing you to what's
options.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which also actually what happens is, because you have that option, that power, you're a lot more
open
to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, I could
and to
always
push
leave,
yourself and be like,
so you
okay,
can push yourself a little bit further.
How far can I go until I decide I need to leave?
Yeah.
And
then you don't
curiosity
leave.
is, of course.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you don't leave. As in, if you're in a theatre in dark and you can't leave, and if you leave, it's such a big statement, and something really that upsets you is on stage, and you have no option to leave, and it's being imposed on you, you just become angry.
Yeah.
Or
you
if
feel,
you leave,
feel,
frustrated, or
you
just
feel violated.
Yeah,
exactly.
You feel raped
Exactly.
by
Yeah.
Or if you leave, you will never come back because
It's-
you're not gonna move 15 people again.
And you
to sit
maybe
down.
regret.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
Because maybe it was just an impulse.
Yeah.
And
So that's a thing that we work a lot in contracts with the people.
So in other countries, opposite of what I would have thought, the audience is more heterogeneous,
Yes.
and they have a very good
Yeah.
response to what you
Tends
have
to
to
be,
say.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Like they were all like very open afterwards. Like they had, we had the person organizing the festival that came to us, and he was saying that like lots of people went to him and like told him how they enjoyed the piece, and the problem that maybe they had with, I don't know, the whipping, they found it a bit strong, but fine.
It was
somehow.
Well, the interesting thing is that some of these like older women, and they were there, and they said they really enjoyed, and they realized what's a good role of art is that by being there, she saw other people's limits, but she also understood her own limits
Okay.
Yeah.
by watching that piece,
Okay.
and understood that perhaps her limits are actually bigger than what she thought beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In what do you think she was talking about when she was talking about limits, in your understanding?
I think I just thought in general of the whole piece in terms of there's a lot of things that would normally be considered taboo and that you wouldn't be part of, or you wouldn't want to be part of, or like pain and there's a lot of objection in our work in our pieces. So there was like a lot of we were like swapping
Exchanging,
saliva and
Yeah.
spit.
Like bodily fluids.
I pee on
so-
stage. So there's a lot of these things that are a bit like
Yeah.
working with fetishes again, of course.
Yeah.
Or just the things that we say, the text as well sometimes is actually more than anything else. When we did in Portugal, my parents were there, and my mum, she was just like, there's a text that is about a dream, and it's quite highly sexual dream, and but also a bit
It's very lyrical also. If
Yeah.
it's the one that is on your webpage,
Is it on
where
that
you
page?
tell that you have a vision with a beautiful boy or
In a
Yeah,
cliff.
the
Yeah,
cliff.
this
Yeah,
one
yeah,
where
yeah.
where you have
it
to.
also a bit mythological, I felt.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
It was a dream I just had, and then of course while I was writing it, maybe I allow myself to go a bit further and change some stuff. But so is that one? Yeah, that there's a person that you see as the most beautiful person, and you can fuck them, and they chain to the floor. But it's the third time you fuck, your conscious becomes that person. So you become the person now chained, and you will be fucked many times until someone fucks you the third time, and
Yeah,
They
it
become
is.
you, yeah.
So have
yeah.
lot of the archetypes of mythology.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it.
About fucking someone out of existence. But my mom was like, that was what affected her the most almost, because she was like, oh, that was a very, I don't know what she said, but something like, that was a very explicit, specific dream that you
So
had.
all she saw was okay, but
Well,
then-
yeah.
I
Because she's kind of
Interesting.
imagining and I think maybe she gets to see the person that I might be, and she's
Yes,
like,
exactly.
is this what you want? Is this what you like? Is
Yeah.
this what you
Yeah,
dream of.
Yeah.
Because somehow like when you create performance, it's always like this. You're almost like acting it out, although like by being yourself. But if you try to express like your dreams and things like that, you enter more like in the subconscious of someone. So you might realize something else that you would not be able to otherwise.
Is it very important for you to really make people questioning many things regarding the actual status quo of things when they go to your performance, or do you want just to really be shaking their emotions? Is it about shaking the mind or shaking the emotions in your body? What is it more
I guess
important?
it depends on who they are, but all we want to do really is to open a dialogue.
Yes. Yes. It's normally like about dialogue, and it's about like possibilities. Because
It's not about finding answers, I guess.
no, exactly. But then something that we talk about in our work, and in general, it's how somehow we are used to so many things just because they are.
Because they are like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like that, and we never question them, and we just like, okay, they might be fine, but just question it, because they might be great for you, but they might not. And and just because they're passed down on you, then it doesn't mean that they might be perfect for you.
Basically, normativity is not what's normal. Just because
It
normative,
becomes
becomes
convention.
normal.
yeah,
Yeah.
just because normative doesn't mean it's normal. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They're different things.
And it doesn't necessarily also mean it's better or healthier.
No.
But what have you discovered along this time performing with such a strong content in terms of visually strong, politically strong? What are you very proud of your work at this point? What would you say? You know what I'm especially proud of? What would be the answer of that question?
You mean like okay? Say that again.
After all you have done,
Yeah, is that like a work?
What makes you especially proud?
I don't know. I think this is gonna be so blah, but
You can be cheesy.
yeah, no, I guess, no, I think because by doing this work, and we've also pushed ourselves.
Yeah.
Rick was always very like, oh no, but let's not do that. Like he was very like, not prude, but very scared of putting certain things out to people to see. Like oh that's too vulgar, or no, that's too whatever. So and I was always like, but no, let's take a shit on stage, and no, I mean we don't do that.
More experimental, let's say.
Yeah. And then
You could.
yeah,
that's always
I could,
fine.
but it depends how we would do it, I guess. But I was always kind of pushing me for that side as well. And then I guess I'm proud that we've done that. But what I'm proud is that by doing this work and pushing ourselves that way, we've actually evolved
as a human being.
And yes, in a way that we understand certain things, and then we actually started questioning. It's not like we do this work and then we don't question ourselves in our life and then we don't evolve, but we have, in our relationship is very different, and we're polyamorous, and when we navigate those questions
in
society
in
very
that
differently.
regard, all that experience of being polyamorous, when did it started? Because at the beginning it was you, two of you.
For 4 years.
5 years.
Well, so with that project of the penis casting,
Temptation was all around.
All over.
well, basically, it's a very, we were inviting strangers to come and do it, and then there is they knew that it's not a sexual encounter, and it's all very professional. They actually signed an agreement letter, all of that.
All for the shake of.
But then, of course, they always saw a very sensual, erotic experience in it, and even though in my part it would be very clinical because I was measuring and mixing and timing and no, you need to put your penis in there and then don't move and but then once everything is done and signed, the person is there, and perhaps if there was a mutual attraction between everyone and the work is done and we're no longer in professional mode.
Yeah, we would have
and
dinner,
maybe
we would have
you want
drinks.
to offer a drink, exactly.
Yeah.
You want to have a chat.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Or have sex or whatever.
Going back.
Exactly.
So what happened is that we started having these experiences, and then we always talk before and after, and then some of these people, we really like them, and they become sort of lovers.
Yeah.
Like
friends.
Occasion.
Yeah, we would have over, we'd watch movies,
come
we'd
over,
sleep
let's have a
together.
dinner, and you can stay over, whatever. And then eventually there was one of these people that just evolved somehow.
And now
It's
it's
quite
one
hard
of
to
your cats.
explain. It just evolved somehow that you became more than just a lover, and then
Was
stayed.
it quick or was?
It was
I was
quick.
Yes.
It was quick. It was a bit weird. But yeah.
Why was it weird?
Well, it's weird. I don't know. In my mind, it's weird because it was so fast. But
Yeah.
it just happened. I don't know. It's
When you have a dynamic of three people, and now that you are talking about that, do you include that on your first question? Are you happy to start including that on the dynamic of your performances? First question. Second, when you are three, is it easier? Things are easier, or because people tend to believe or see numbers that are not pairs, like complicated dynamics, because there are many angles and not always can be equitative.
Yes.
So is it easy? Is how it is?
So, question number 1. Performance. What I always say is, the other person is life, but us is performance.
Okay.
So, he's part of our private life, but he does not perform.
But obviously that being in a polyamorous relationship has influenced, has sparked other questions that then we do put into our work, perhaps.
Yeah. See, I'm sure you do. But not necessarily.
But Todd does not become part of our performance, and he will not perform with us, and and then the other
it's
question.
nice to have that very clear. I wouldn't say boundaries, but I would say it's clear. It's just very clear.
But it's not even for any
Exactly.
specific reason. It's just
It's also
it's
like
just-
it's not
just
his
the nature
interest.
of-
It's also his interest.
Yeah, he's not part of it. It's just
And
It's just
then the other question. No, I think it's fine. It's like
It's easy.
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's the
but
same.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same, but
It's-
because between two is not easy.
Exactly.
That's why I always have thought. Imagine three. If two,
No, but here's the thing.
two is not easy. Why is gonna be easier?
Well,
Adding
if you're angry,
someone
if you're
else.
angry at one, then you can go to the other one,
But that's
and then
convenient.
and then for example, in this case, each of them have a room, and I jump between the two rooms every night. But if I am angry with one of them, I have another bed to go and sleep in.
If he's angry with both of us, he has the sofa.
Okay. Have you, for example, or you, ever felt left out, left alone, not being invited, or can that happen? Well, that can also happen between two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it can happen, but I think that we are in a place that now we are just, we're not resentful.
Mm-hmm.
We just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I need something, if I feel that you are far away, I will tell you that I feel that you're far away, and then we will work on that. I think
it actually feels like makes people more communicative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because when you do it and you start, especially at the beginning, we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And that was something we said at the beginning. It's like, we don't know what we're doing. If we're going to do this, whatever happens, let's not have any resentment. Let's not hate each other. Let's remain friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because, we don't know what we're doing. We're bringing this third person in.
Yeah.
Could you advise some rules that could be important? Because all dynamics needs some sort of...
Okay, we could, but the rules that we set at the beginning are not the rules that we have now, because we didn't know what we were doing. So we're like, okay, let's try this. And then we would try for a few months, and then, okay, this is not working, I'm not feeling good with this, blah, blah. And then we would restructure the whole contract again. Because a relationship between two people is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So a relationship between three people is just a different contract.
Yeah, totally.
And you just need to make... And the problem with a lot of monogamy is that it's so normative that people don't talk about the contract they do.
Yeah.
And it's an assumed, unspoken contract between two people that is not tailor-made for who those people are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why...
And sometimes you commit more with monogamy than with the person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you are not necessarily only with that person.
Yeah.
But you commit with the structure,
Yes.
functional structure.
And
feel.
perhaps
Exactly.
it's not what's best for you too.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of couples and marriages fail.
Mm.
And because there's not a culture of talking about it. And as in when we started this thing, we had to talk about it.
Yes, you always
And we were
have
forced to talk about it. So then so now I think we've never talked better before.
Yeah. I became so much more emotionally intelligent since I'm in this.
Really?
Yeah, I tend to be like very just, on the inside, like not speaking about stuff, and like my emotions are my emotions, like passive aggressive.
Yeah, me
Still
too.
am.
I think we have that in common. I have a lot of expectations about what an ideal relationship, even friendship, should be.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if it goes against your beliefs, you just feel betrayed. But then I don't always have the maturity to just talk about that and change the dynamics. I just decide if I want to be or not in that situation.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can just talk and I'm sure you become a better person, definitely. And do you share your clothes? I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Are you same size?
Same
So
everything.
you have just one
Everything,
wardrobe
We
or
share.
what?
The only thing that we don't share
It's
this
top
is the
shoes.
no. This is the only hat that we share
Okay.
because he has a much bigger hat than I do. So all of his other hats don't fit me.
We basically have different extremities.
Okay.
So Todd has very big feet, so we don't share his shoes.
Okay.
And I have a very big hat, so they don't share my hats.
That's good.
I also don't wear Todd's trousers because Todd has a 24-inch
Waist.
waist.
Yeah.
And I'm at
Exactly.
28.
Okay. Oh, you do know those things.
Yeah,
That's
he's
very
like
good.
this.
Yeah.
Super,
it's
exactly.
teeny tiny.
I'm a
Yeah.
26, so I go in, I'm like,
Wow.
one belt or a corset.
Yes, but you use a lot of corsets. They look amazing.
I
on
love
you.
corsets, yeah. I really like the
shape,
silhouette.
the hourglass
Yes,
silhouette.
yes. And
But
I'm like, I cannot have it naturally like you do.
No.
So.
No. What's the performance till now that have had better response from the audience and maybe have become more international?
Burning Pricks for sure is the most
It's
toured around presented.
And I think it's because somehow it's quite easy because it changes every time. So you can really be sort of like site responsive. You know?
And also it's easy to get the meaning behind it, I think. Because it's clearly about the power as it is. You can see that clearly. Do you think that when people get the meaning of what you are trying to tell,
I think so. I
they
think
respond better?
it's very... I think all of our work in general is very to the point. We don't really work in this kind of like between the lines too much, so abstract that you have no way to go in. Because
Access.
this is my problem again, going back to dance, that I never really liked it when we finished school. I didn't want to dance for anyone because I would go and see dance, and it's so abstract or so
Ethereal,
inaccessible
yeah.
to the process or to what the person's actually thinking, that I mean I can't see. I mean, is it really about this, your work? It's not. It's just that beautiful people moving beautifully on stage.
Yeah. Which is
You know,
fine.
which is
if you
fine as
say
entertainment or
it's
whatever.
that, but you know,
But if you tell me it's something else,
climate change, I'll be
Yeah.
like, not really.
it's not. Or it's like when you see, you know, some fine art and you see like a couple of nails on the wall and it's like these pieces about that and that and that. It's like, is it? How did you arrive at this? Maybe for you it is because you had all this process that you arrived this, but it's so internal to you and so inaccessible to me that it is not about that.
Exactly.
So we don't want to make that kind of work. So our work is always very accessible in that way.
Direct to the point. You
Yeah.
mean
Not forcing it on you, because we never, even though it's direct to the point that we're presenting, we're not telling you what it is.
Yeah.
We present a lot of different questions and a lot of different sides and perspectives, I think. And that's probably what's successful about it.
And that one, burning pricks
Yeah.
is the one that you would say have been the biggest.
Yeah, although I think that Softcore Boundaries for the audience is also very, very successful, if not more.
That's the one that you presented in Italy?
No, that's
Softcore
Burning Pricks.
Boundaries?
That's the
No.
one with the barbed wire we did in Sweden and also here in England. But it's quite hard because it needs a very specific set.
Space. So it's very hard to tour. So not every gallery or festival commissions that, because it's just harder to transport, harder to make.
Yeah.
But
Also barbed wire.
yeah. But then in terms of the success with the audience, I think it might be even more successful.
Yeah.
I think.
It's the one where you exchange saliva and
Through a barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Yes,
the roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say happens on stage that doesn't happen in real life?
Well.
You are not as dominant as you look like.
Yeah, exactly. But we challenge that as well in performance sometime. I think like more in my sort of social media way of passing images, then yes, I'm more interested in that side. But then also in the performances, we always like switch the things, because I don't know, I get whipped, I get, you know, things on me and stuff, but then at the same time I also like sit on him and like burning with a candle. So we like to reverse the role and see really where the power is. But I think what is different is, I don't know actually. Because to me, I stay quite true to myself also in the performance. And it's something that I found not long ago by working with someone else, that it was asking me to, you know, perform as something else. And your man was like, I find it very hard. Because like I spent the last 4 years just trying to find myself in the performance, that I find it very hard to act as someone else. Or, you know, like something
Do you feel when you act like someone else, somehow you are lying?
Yeah.
Because you are probably not an actor, you are an artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because the research that I've done brought me towards like finding myself.
Your voice.
Yeah. Rather than other voices that I could have. So I always feel a little bit like, oh, this is interesting.
I think, yes, there is difference, but because of the nature of the performance and because of our own identities, it is very, you know, our identities are very performative.
Yeah.
You know, being queer and just the way we conduct ourselves in the city, and people look at us and we are aware of that.
Yeah.
We get reactions from people depending on how far we go with our dressing. So
can you become addict to that feeling of being the center of the attention?
I think
so. I don't know if we're addict, but I think, I don't know, it's strange because
I have that.
But I think so because, you know, if I were to just walk in the street and just with very simple clothes, no earrings, just jeans,
I can't do that.
I
It's
feel
so
very
difficult.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I I had this chat when we were in Sardinia, and it's sometimes if I'm very dressed down and I have nothing, I'm not wearing hats, I still have people looking at me. And that
then you know,
makes me feel
powerful.
very uncomfortable.
Yes, because you don't feel ready for it.
Because
Yeah.
I don't
You
feel
don't
ready
feel
for
like
it.
you are
but-
calling for it.
Yeah, but it's also a question that, you know, if I'm dressed like this and someone looks at me and they, I don't know, like they look at me like in a weird way, or
You
there's
don't mind.
there's a little bit of like
You know what you're giving them. You know what they're
confrontation.
looking.
I'm like, okay, I can understand why you're replying badly to this, you know. But if I'm just
Although we shouldn't understand. Because
no,
we're
no,
just
no,
idiots.
exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
But
if
he
I'm
knows,
just,
he knows that he's...
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
no,
like
no.
I can follow the process. But if
Yeah.
I'm just like fully like in a tracksuit and you're still looking at me with some anger, I'm like,
it's
why
because
would you?
you-
Like, you know, like it's me. It's not anymore.
The
this.
spectacle.
This persona,
Yeah.
this public
Yeah,
persona.
exactly.
It's a
So-
much personal attack.
Exactly. And I'm like,
So it's a form of
and
defense
that-
as well. It also means that all eyes on you. So if someone were to do something to you, everyone else is seeing it as well. So it's kind of like
Tricky.
yeah. You know, it's like
But also protective.
yeah. It's, you know, it's like if I was in the public and everyone is looking at me and someone comes and punches me in the face, everyone's seen who's punching
Yeah.
me in the face as well.
Because they were
Yeah.
looking at
In a way.
him also before that.
Yeah, I also, yes, that's true. And I have the theory that in general on the street, on the tube, when there are guys that are they abuse of their masculine power, they never do it with girls that look strong and
Yeah.
look that they know what they want or they, or
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can
yeah,
go for
yeah.
it. Or, no, they do it with people that looks quite anonymous
Yeah.
because they
Because no one
they
notices.
feel more,
No one notices
no one
it.
notices and they feel like those persons maybe don't have a reaction. They expect a reaction from someone that is
Yeah.
saying, "Don't fuck with me."
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you work as a life models, as art models, because of the interesting aspects of it, or is also a way to make some money?
I think for me it's a mix in between the two. So I get money, which is great. All the time that I speak with artists or, you know, I was drawing a philosopher a few days ago and I was telling the same, you know, I was like, I don't know how is it going with you, like money wise and everything, but I'm like, it's quite great to be paid just to sit there
And have
and think.
time for your
Exactly. For your practice.
yes.
Because I'm like, if I would be home, I would probably be on my computer, I would read something, but there I'm just somehow trapped in the body
Yes.
and I can only be in my mind. So I find it so useful to be alive.
How many experiences that are being translated on the stage after have had a initial moment where you were modeling? When you were
Quite a
modeling?
few.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sometimes when I'm there, and many more that have never been. But when I'm sitting, I create entire exhibitions in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, entire like shows. So obviously not everything comes to life, but yeah, a lot of things. But I think initially it was a money thing.
Yeah.
But then as we did it, we realized that it has a lot of potential.
And it's
as a
compatible
practice.
with
Yeah.
what you do.
Mhm.
Because also if you need to cancel last minute, it's
Yeah.
not big deal.
Yeah.
Someone else can do it.
You
unless
can do
it's
your
a
own
long
schedule,
sitting.
yeah.
Exactly.
But it's good being in 3 people that
In the
we're
house.
all models.
Okay.
Because I can be like,
Todd is also a
Todd,
model.
can you do this? Yeah.
So you can share when you
yeah,
actually
yeah.
are not able.
Yeah.
And that play Q Hubris, is it does it come from the experience of modeling? Because
It
there
does.
are some lines on that you posted on
It's 60 minutes, it's 2.5 hours.
Amazing.
2.5 hours, 1.5 hours. Yeah.
You posted with one photo of that play something that says, "Stay still, let me cover you in gold. Let me create a gold out of you. I will make my shame yours. I will make you stay still for me." When I read it, being a life model and knowing that you are related with that word as well, I was wondering if it has a lot to do with the fact of that need of being still in a world that moves so fast. somehow, or is it just my interpretation?
No, there's different connections to it.
Because
but
it also is also linked to another work which was called 20 Minutes to Appear, which was done before. And that worked a lot with the concept of being still and in the pose. And
in the world that goes fast.
20 minutes
Exactly.
to appear, is that when one of you is silver and the other one is golden?
No, that's the
No.
same as this.
20 Minutes to Appear is the one that it was a sort of like a playground, and we would basically just pose for a long time, or like just, I don't know, melt from standing to the floor in 10 minutes, so like going super slow.
Super slow.
And we would
It's actually 20 minutes.
yeah, and it all comes like the actual title comes from something I heard while I was life modeling, which was this teacher saying that the pose takes 20 minutes to appear. So like in the first 20 minutes of starting a
The
painting or
wheels
something,
slightly move.
there will be some adjustment in the body because of the breathing.
Yeah,
and
the
things.
final
Yeah,
pose
exactly, the
is
final
when your
pose.
body cannot.
Exactly.
The one that you can actually sustain.
Yeah,
and
and
that
it's
normally
after
will
20
take
minutes.
20 minutes to appear.
Exactly.
And
that's
So
where
it
that's,
came from.
that's great.
And that's something that came with it. And also there we were exploring, it was an exhibition, it was an art fair, so having people around and watching you. And somehow they also have this Instagram thing, so they would take a picture and be like, oh, this looks great.
And then
they
nothing would happen.
They would wait to take the next picture, but had to be different.
Yeah.
So they were waiting for you to move. And
So it's forcing a little bit everyone to slow stop for a while
Yeah,
and
exactly.
move slowlier.
Yeah.
Why? Because we move too fast somehow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just the whole thing. It became very much about the. We wrote a whole text then, but I don't even remember very much. But about just the way the speed that we create images and how fast they are just
Consumed.
consumed and then disposed of.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really trying to push the spectacle of images and how long can this image hold its power and spectacle. And then so that's what we would pose and then hold it for as long as we thought they had power. And then what we challenge ourselves to do is when we think that the power is lost its power, is before destroying and creating a new one, what could we do within ourselves or exteriorly to revive the spectacle? So sometimes we'd be in a pose and what we would do is just stay in the pose and just shake or I don't know, start melting or like just try and revive it somehow for as long as possible. It's not the most beautiful piece to watch. I'll let you know. It's quite boring.
Well, it's
No, Q-Ubers is
it
quite
looks
beautiful.
beautiful.
No, Q-Ubers is very
Yeah.
beautiful. But the 20 minutes to appear it's not. It was very much it's almost more. We took the opportunity. It was almost more a research space for ourselves because we did it for 7 days in a row.
Okay.
For like 7
Where?
hours.
Where?
In Peckham.
Peckham.
Okay.
It was
So you went every day to do that for
Yes.
how many hours?
it was
About 6 or 7 hours a day
Wow.
for 7 days.
and it was as well because at the time we didn't have a studio, so we wanted to have to play somehow in this capitalist way and be like, well, we don't have a studio, but instead of presenting
Work.
something that
Present
is
a
like
studio.
that, we will present a studio so we can actually work and find some answers
In front of you.
in front of you at the same time. So we make the process
actually it makes
visible.
people part of something more alive, more
Yeah,
vital.
the process almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of. What
But
it
the
is.
Q Hubris one, I stand still for 2 hours normally, and he licks me from head to toe, and he covers me in gold.
Yes.
And then afterwards he leaves, and then I stay there for another time. It's very hard on the body.
It is 2 hours standing. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
exactly.
you are.
And normally,
Like,
the
it's
problem
like
is the
just-
arms are here.
Arms are here, so like after a bit, it's just like
Yeah, you
a
are
whole
so
shake.
strong. Amazing.
But then, I'm kind of interested in that because coming from life modeling,
You would never be able to do that. in life model.
yeah, and it's this sense of performance somehow that brings some energy in it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all these people, like the gaze of all these people looking at you,
Mm-hmm.
that helps bring things
Exactly.
forward.
It recharges you
exactly.
somehow.
Exactly.
Well, it happened during
Yeah,
classes as
yeah.
well, because you wouldn't do it if you are alone, but because all this
Oh
energy
yeah, absolutely.
circulating in those rooms create a sense of commitment
Yes,
and also a
yes,
sense of value.
Yeah, and there's also I find in life modeling there's a sense that because it's practical.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing it
Yeah.
for something that it might be not for yourself,
But
but
there's a
it's for
purpose.
someone else.
Yeah, there's a purpose of it, and you.
Doing something that you need to stay there.
And we always try to find that sense for ourselves as well.
Exactly.
Any kind of meaning.
Yeah.
Physical, I'm gonna challenge my strength, my body,
Yeah.
my plasticity, my
sometimes-
flexibility. And sometimes you're just bored. Yeah, that happens.
Now in long poses, I just do this.
I'm not able, you know. I
You're-
have a sense of proud.
You're
that-
great in your long poses. I don't know how you can do
thank
it.
you, but I have this proud, like I always think I'm gonna do the less today because I have been working too many hours for too long. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But then I see the people and it's like
7 hours.
even if it's just
But
one
you know,
person.
I'm like that, and I once did a upside down pose for 40 minutes, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. Upside down.
And it's also a big mistake because
Yeah.
it's too long for your head. It can also
No, but my problem was that more than the
can
head.
really cause you a
I know, but it was my back because
It's
I was like on a cube, and then my back was dropped, so I was fully broken there.
oh.
So actually, from my waist down, everything died.
Yes, that happens. All the
But then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pain,
Blood.
but then the pain from the band, I could feel it
Increased.
all. Yeah, from the waist up.
and then
So it was
your
incredibly
head full of
painful.
blood.
Incredibly painful. Yeah, I had to stop at 35 minutes. I didn't do the 40 minutes.
Of course, but you did well. You did an amazing job.
Exactly.
And do you have any references in the art world, like an art idol or another duo that does maybe something very queer as well and has been inspiring for you?
No, like Rick always says, I don't think we're inspired by artists as much as we are by the works.
Yeah.
So rather than we have like favorite artists, we have favorite works. Because there are artists that they make a work that we really like, but then there's another work from the same person that we don't really care very much.
Or maybe I might be into an artist practice
Rather than
rather than the work.
rather than the product.
Does it make sense? Because of what we were saying before, you know, like for example
It makes
in
completely
dance, yeah.
sense being a performer.
Yeah.
Performer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously it's all about the feeling of being in a studio, being in a
Yeah.
working process, being in
Exactly.
something that is not completely finished
Yeah.
somehow.
But yeah, you want some names. It goes from anyone from like Marina Abramovic
I
to
love her.
Echo and Coma to Eddie Peak to Florence Peak to Igor and Moreno to I don't know if you know the work of all these people, but they're very different from each other really. So Florence Peak and what's her name?
Eve Staten.
Eve Staten.
Are all they contemporary artists?
Yeah. I guess the least contemporary ones are
Eiko and Coma.
Eiko and Coma and Marina.
Abramovic, yeah.
Yoko Ono, she's quite interesting as well as
love the
as a
text.
because we work a
Poetry.
bit with scripts as well, so she's quite an interesting artist to know or to see for the script performance part. But yeah, I don't know. There's many different people, different things. Still love Pina Bausch, for example. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just different. It's just and maybe you don't relate in the same way so much anymore, and probably doesn't influence our work so much anymore. But yeah.
Body positive. It's a thing in the new world, fortunately, because I think it's been helping a lot to understand beauty from diversity, from a more free point of view, and it's helping to create new paradigms in terms of aesthetic values. Do you relate to that? Do you feel like you are also doing something to achieve that?
Yeah. I think
Yes and no, because in a way we present our own bodies, so it's very limited to the kind of bodies and beauty that we can present. Yeah, it's always gonna be me
Yeah.
and gonna be him.
yeah, exactly.
So, but we do go in that world by presenting body positivity, as in nudity and the shame around that, the connection between the body and sexuality and the shame around that, and we present positivity towards those two things.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
The difference
Yes.
between like gender and sexuality. So
yes, in that
it's all things
sense,
that-
in that sense, it's more broad. But then when it comes to actual physical beauty of what we present, we don't have that much diversity, because I guess the diversity is that he's skinnier and I am hairier. So
Than many
yeah,
models,
yeah.
let's say, of
So,
the 90s. Or,
yeah. It's not like we have all the bodies in our work, really. It's not like right now. Maybe in the future we're gonna be able to have the capital and start working perhaps with more people. I don't know. I don't know if it's something that we want to do yet. And then if we do, then definitely it will become for sure a part of our body that we do want to represent different body types, and there will be, just genders, races,
different
and not
sizes.
because they should. And it's different. It's not because we think we need to tick these boxes and represent these people, but because it just makes sense within the work, and I think it's important and more valuable for everyone. Because that's a very fine line in terms of genuine diversity exposure and tokenism, I guess. But right now, that's how we are, I guess.
Are you working in any new project? And what is it about?
It is.
This will be about what it is right now, because it's still.
It's gonna
beginning.
change.
Yeah, so it might change.
Well,
Probably.
But what we work is using pleasure as a way of rebellion.
Okay, that
So,
sounds great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Talk about that.
we don't know, but the process that we're gonna start now is that we're also gonna use pleasure as a way of research and creation of a material. So, for example, imagine we're doing this interview, and as you are interviewing me, or we will be interviewing this person, whatever. So, someone would be giving me oral sex at the same time, and then it's about me letting the physical experience that is happening to me right now influence what we're talking about and our conversation and my reactions, and then we talk about it afterwards as well, and we maybe carry that energy into.
You are gonna have to talk on your own, because the person that is giving you some pleasure, I think it's gonna be quite busy.
So like asking question.
So it's like more a monologue.
Well, no. Okay, so imagine that I'm interviewing you, and you're talking to me, and under this table there's someone else giving you oral sex.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to
That's,
talk.
but that's where the challenge is gonna come from, and we're just interested in it. That's just a very example. It might be a silly one. It might not even work. But
Okay,
it
but
could be in
you are
different ways.
exploring those ideas.
It could be maybe that, you have a big sheet of paper and paint, and maybe someone is doing something to you, and you have to paint something, and maybe we do give you something specific for you, like, can you paint that? But then this is happening to you, so you're kind of managing, and how do you paint that, but also with this pleasure happening to you, or not, or it might just be really overwhelming and you can't manage it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Let's see.
It might be
I'm very
a big
interested.
failure.
No, it's probably not going to be a failure, because you have enough experience to know that. But just to finish this interview, I would like to know, from your own experience in your intimate relationship and life, what would you advise to people that maybe it's curious and they would like to open their boundaries and explore new things, and maybe start the 2020 with a new perspective of what should be a relationship? What would you advise to them?
We can go for a coffee.
Yeah, you can talk to us. But I think really just anything that just question.
Yeah.
I think you just need to question everything, and then
Read books.
Yeah.
Like search for other experience and not just, like your own. Like search for diversity, basically. And then, question will come to you, and then
question
you
it
might
and
have like
talk
other
about
possibilities and things. So yeah, I think like researching and reading and know the others It's the best thing, probably.
Not just taking what is being given to you
Yeah,
easily, but
yeah.
going a little bit
I think you
further.
need to, I think you need to question everything. I think
Especially authority.
Everything, especially authority. Yes, and everything. What I think people don't understand many times is that everything that we living right now, society, systems, institutions, they've all been constructed and built by other people in power, and people that had agendas that are no longer relevant, or they're no longer compatible with our with what we want to do as human beings today.
Yeah, most of times it is like that.
Yeah, you know, monogamy, marriage is a construct. Someone has decided at some point that this is the way they should be for a reason. And monogamy came about for economical and political reasons. It came about you wanting to close off your properties and your goods and your money, rather than, you know, if you didn't have a close monogamy and this person was going with other people, how do you keep them from sharing your properties and sharing your goods and your money? So when you start closing and putting rules and boundaries around those, you and this other person, and then it's just you and them and your children, then you've secured your net worth in a way. And that's the only reason why monogamy came about. It has nothing to do with love. Monogamy is still an option, for example. I just think people need to, if you meet someone new, what you should do straight away is, okay, you like each other, whatever, how do we want to live? How do we want to be together? How do we want this to go on? And then you decide how you want your relationship to be, depending on who you are and who they are.
Yes, totally.
Yeah,
Not depending on...
Not because you haven't spoken and somehow this unspoken contract has happened, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's good if you have also on your own had thoughts about it.
Exactly.
But then if you do talk about with each other and then you decide that monogamy is best for you, but you know why,
Then
that's
it's
fine too.
And it can also change.
It can change.
Exactly.
It can change. The same way that when it started and what we are now has changed, because we've talked, and then when polyamory started, we talked at the beginning, and the rules we reworked the rules, and then we reworked the rules again, and then we reworked the rules, and we still rework.
And things might change. Exactly, things might change again. So it's.
Would you have you talk about the possibility of being together, but maybe in the future the third person is not taught but someone else?
We haven't specifically talked about that scenario, but I think.
Could be.
But I mean, in this case, it's not so much.
It doesn't
about
matter.
That. It's not so much about that because, for example, we're gonna get specific into this. But when we started, we were like trying to get the three of us on, but then dynamics shifted, and then from onwards, it's I have Rick as a boyfriend, and then I have Todd as a boyfriend. But Todd and Rick are not
my
boyfriends.
It's family, but it's not my boyfriend.
So in that case already, it's almost like.
All possibilities are there.
Yeah, because then it's almost like Rick could get another one, I guess, or I could get even another one and have three. Not that I want to.
The possibilities are infinite. I know.
But it's also like, it's not that maybe we don't have to talk about the scenario because it's not like.
Yeah. When it happened, we might.
Exactly.
And I mean, we might want different things. Antonio might be a more romantic related person and want more connections with people, and I might be more interested in the diversity of
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's why Rick just goes around and has like hundreds sexual lovers, and then I collect boyfriends.
Yeah.
Because if I do meet someone, then it just
automatically
becomes a boyfriend.
Yeah. you develop that romance, that sense of romance.
I don't.
While I'm very good at separating sexuality from intimacy and companionship, but like for me, I'm like,
Good.
So
different boxes.
yeah, exactly.
Here we are trying to get out of the box and creating
separate boxes.
another boxes. Why not?
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being so open, so real, and so talented. Because I really, I'm a big fan of you. So thank you for being in Metralla Rosa today and for sharing this conversation in English. It's so weird because you are Portuguese, you are Italian, I'm Venezuelan, but well, this is London.
Exactly.
Thank you and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Lots of love. How should I do this now? How should I kiss you? Oh, sorry.
that's
so
fine.
many, so
It's okay.
many
Yeah,
joys.
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
there. You are amazing. I love it.
And we cut.